Remember, this Cardinal ball club, such a great offensive machine, only shut out twice at home this year by Rick Sutcliffe and Brian Fisher.
Tuesday, October 6th, the second season begins before a record crowd at Busch Stadium. 55,331 filled the stands. Game 1 of the National League Championship Series. Whitey Herzog's Redbirds against Roger Craig's Giants.
A lot of clubs go into a playoffs or World Series. We did a great job just to get here. I don't want this to happen to my club. To me, it's the new season just starting over right now.
Even before the first pitch, St. Louis suffers a setback. A stiff neck sideline scheduled starter Danny Cox. Herzog summons rookie left-hander Greg Matthews to open the series. In the first frame, the Giants break on top, but the Cardinals come back with the tying tally in the third off Giants starter Rick Rutschel.
Comes Pena to score, and we're all even at 1.
But the very next inning, the Giants flex their muscle. The Hackman, Jeffrey Leonard, connects for a solo home run to center field. 0-0 taunts Cardinal players and fans alike as he rounds the bases with one flap down. Leonard didn't know these birds are unflappable. After tying the game in the fourth, Harry Pendleton breaks the 2-2 knot with an RBI single in the sixth. Now with the bases loaded, 2 outs and 2 strikes, Matthews bats for himself.
And there's a little looper into center, and it was a breaking ball. And 2 runs will score. And it was a hanging breaking ball. You could have put your hat on it.
It's 5-2 Cardinals. Finally, Matthews and his magic exit in the 8th. With the Birds in a jam, left-handed reliever Ken Daly slams the door on the Giants. And the Cardinals come away with a 5-3 victory in the opener.
Greason dug it out.
NBC Sports presents the 1987 National League Championship Series. Today from Busch Memorial Stadium, the San Francisco Giants versus the St. Louis Cardinals. Brought to you by Miller Brewing Company, sole sponsor of the U.S. Olympic Training Center. By your Toyota dealer in the all-new Dimension 88 Corolla, who could ask for anything more. By Allstate, for home, auto, and life insurance, you're in good hands with Allstate. And by the U.S. Army, a place to be all you can be. Hi, everybody. I'm Vin Scully, along with Joe Garagiola. Welcome to St. Louis, the gateway to the West, and to Busch Stadium, where the Cardinals hope it will become the gateway to the World Series. St. Louis took a giant step, and no pun intended, by winning last night in a game they figured perhaps to lose, with their ace Danny Cox shelved with the bad neck and the absent Jack Clark. The Giants, relying on Rick Rutschel, figured they would win, and it didn't come out that way. So the Cardinals have the jump 1-0, a big psychological win for St. Louis, and what could be a psychological downer for the San Francisco Giants as Dave Dravecky tries to right the ship against John Tudor. What about the psychological damage of losing a game you really figured you were going to win? Well, Joe Garagiola is down on the field with Roger Craig. Let's go and find out.
Okay, Vin. Roger, yesterday's ball game, you had to feel going into it you had the edge, especially with Danny Cox not being the starting pitcher. Psychologically, what did it do to lose that ball game?
Well, you know, I felt we did have the edge, but you got to give Matthews credit. He pitched a good ball game. He had his off stride. He had a good off-speed pitch, and he had a good enough fastball to keep us honest. And my guy Rutschel pitched well. It just seemed like we were not supposed to win that ball game. They had 3 blue hits in that inning. 1 ball hit to Uribe, thrown to Robbie.
Did you have a meeting today?
No. I won't need a meeting today. Why? If you have to motivate him in playoffs, in the World Series or whatever, then it's too late. But even yesterday after ball game, we are relaxed. We don't feel any pressure. We feel that today's a very crucial ball game for both clubs, especially us because we lost yesterday. But we've been a club all year that have came back. We never do anything easy, and we feel very confident about today.
So you did give the impression in the clubhouse, hey, we lost and let's get them tomorrow?
Oh, sure. After the ball game's over, I said, hey, don't worry about it. We got them right where we want them. You know, we've done this all year. We don't do anything easy. We'll come out smoking today.
Good luck to you, Roger.
Okay, Joe. Thank you.
Okay, Vin. There it is.
Thank you, fellas. The big note, of course, John Tudor had not faced the Giants this year. In the previous 2 years, he made 4 starts against them, 3 wins, no losses, and 1 no decision. In the previous 3 years, Dave Dravecky has made 6 starts against St. Louis. He has a record of 1-1 and 4 no decisions. Left-hander against left-hander. We'll get to the starting lineups right after this.
The next afternoon, it was the Redbirds hitting on all cylinders, running, diving, playing airtight defense, and hitting a pair of home runs. Final, Cardinals 4, Mets 2. But the weekend sweep of the world champions was not without casualties. John Tudor was quietly sitting on the bench when Mets catcher Barry Lyons went in search of a Jack Clark pop-up. Lyons flew into the dugout and Tudor. The catcher reappeared unhurt as the pitcher limped off to 3 months on the disabled list.
In the aftermath of last night's victory, it is a high-spirited city of St. Louis, and reflecting the spirits of the city and the ball club as usual, the Wizard of Oz, Ozzie Smith, as he took the field just moments ago. Watch this. He's something else. So the Cardinals leading 1-0. And this is the second game. The show will then move on to Candlestick Park starting Friday night. Here's the way the visiting Giants will stack up for Game 2 against the left-handed John Tudor. Robbie Thompson at second base and Kevin Mitchell at third. Jeffrey Leonard in left field and Candy Maldonado in right. Chili Davis in center with Will Clark at first. Bob Melvin behind the plate. Jose Uribe, the shortstop, and the pitcher Dave Dravecky.
Defensively, a couple changes. Coleman is still in left field, McGee in center field, but Oquendo is in right field, and they give up nothing as far as defense with him out there. Pendleton, Smith, Lindemann is the big first baseman getting over a bad cold. Pena behind the plate, and Tudor. And then he'll be a copy pretty much of Matthews, who pitched last night. Changes speeds, keeps the ball in the ballpark.
And what numbers. Not only his won and lost record, he has beaten the Giants 4 straight. He is 8-1 after the collision with Barry Lyons, where he suffered the broken leg. In his 16 starts this year, the Cardinals have won 14 of them. And remarkably, he is better than 4-1 on AstroTurf. As a Cardinal, 37-9 on the rug, under 500 on grass. And for good measure, he is 4-1 lifetime against the Giants, although he did not pitch against them this year. Robbie Thompson will start it off. Then Kevin Mitchell and Jeffrey Leonard. Candy Maldonado hitting fourth. A beautiful day, a bright breeze, and a sky just as shiny overhead. So Thompson to start it. Fly ball to straightaway center, Willie McGee. 1 pitch, 1 away. The Giants, during the regular year, split the 6 here. They were 7 games above 500 on the road, and they were 11 games above 500 at home. Kevin Mitchell really does well against John Tudor in his young career. He is 6 for 9 against Tudor, including his first major league home run back in April of '86. He has hit 2 home runs in those 6 hits against Tudor. 1 ball and no strikes. Kevin in last night's ball game had 1 hit, singled in the first inning, and was robbed of a hit on an excellent play by Ozzie Smith. 2 balls, no strikes. In there. 2-1.
The analogy I heard, Vin, and anybody ever played golf will understand it. With Matthews pitching last night, you're able to read the putt, you know, go to school. So they were able to go to school on Matthews preparing for Tudor.
2 balls and 2 strikes. 1 away. We're just starting out. The Giants and the Cardinals, game 2. He wouldn't chase that one, but he almost did. Full count. 3-2. So
Kevin Mitchell goes down on strikes. That's number 1, and the batter will be Jeffrey Leonard.
He changes speeds, and Mitchell is way out in front, and something Tudor does well. What impressed Whitey Herzog was his ability to throw strikes in a ballpark like Fenway and pitch inside. He'll get his fastball in enough times to keep you honest, but he changes speeds and keeps that ball down most of the time.
That was a borderline strike, and it was clocked at 77. And here now is Jeffrey Leonard, bothered by a bad wrist and a hamstring pull, but last night hit a monstrous home run into the seats in center and also singled to right in the 8th inning. So Leonard went 2 for 4. 2-1. Little nubber roll to the right side. Tommy Herr is there, and even Leonard looked like he might have been chasing a bad ball as he rolls out. So the Giants tiptoe out of the first at the end of half an inning. Giants nothing, Cardinals coming up. Here are the Cardinals with Vince Coleman in left field, Ozzie Smith the shortstop, and Tommy Herr at second base. Terry Pendleton in the cleanup spot at third. Willie McGee in center. Jim Lindemann at first. Jose Aquindo in right field. Tony Pena behind the plate. John Tudor on the mound.
Defensively, it's the same as it was in the first ball game, except for Melvin behind the plate.
Dave Dravecky, an overall record of 10-12. As a Giant, he is 7-5. He didn't have any record against the Cardinals this year. 5-3 lifetime. Interesting about Dravecky, in 1984 when he was with San Diego, he relieved and got the save in the clinching game, and that was against San Francisco. His first major league victory was against San Francisco, July the 4th, 1982. And 5 years later, on July the 4th, he was traded to San Francisco. 1-1 to Vince Coleman.
He's got a good sinker and a slider. He'll pitch inside. One way to check to see if Dravecky's got his good stuff is the number of bats he'll break. Usually he'll break a couple bats in the course of a 9-inning game if he's got his good stuff.
Coleman had 1 hit and 3 trips last night. That's off the corner, ball 2. Vince was also thrown out trying to steal second base in the 3rd inning. Coleman has better numbers for an average as a left-handed batter, but a little more power right-handed. All 3 of his home runs hit right-handed. Fly ball hit down the line, a trio of Giants, and it will be Maldonado. So Coleman a fly ball to right, 1 down, and Ozzie Smith coming up. When you look at the Cardinal lineup, they really jolt you, because you have Vince Coleman leading off, a switch hitter, followed by Ozzie Smith, a switch hitter, followed by Tommy Herr, a switch hitter, followed by Terry Pendleton, a switch hitter, and then Willie McGee, a switch hitter. So 5 consecutive switch hitters. That can drive you crazy if you're the opposing manager trying to wheel and deal with them.
You have to take a roll call, see if it's not the same guy going up there all the time.
Ozzie's numbers have fallen way off this year as a right-handed batter. Ground foul, 1-1. Hitting .335, hitting left-handed, and almost 100 points less than that right-handed. Ball 2, 2-1. For the Cardinals, 6 straight years, the #1 team in stolen bases, and last in home runs 5 of the last 6 years. In fact, the only major league team not to hit 100 home runs. A drive to left. Jeffrey Leonard is right there. So 2 down. And the batter will be Tommy Herr. At Candlestick Park Friday night, the Cardinals say it will either be Joe McGrain or Danny Cox. Adley Hammaker will be pitching for San Francisco, and then again on Saturday, either McGrain or Cox against Mike Krukow. Tommy Herr, pretty consistent ball player. On the 18th of September, he appeared in his 1,000th game. On the 19th of September, he collected his 1,000th hit. Takes a strike. When you look at Herr's numbers, Whitey knows he is a much better hitter, maybe 55, 60 points higher as a right-handed batter. 0-1. For Whitey Herzog, as this game begins today, As the Cardinal manager, Whitey is undefeated at home. His record 6 wins and no losses in the League Championship Series in St. Louis. Ball 2, 2-1. Hit up the middle, but plugging it is Robbie Thompson to throw back to Will Clark, and the Cardinals are gone in order. And at the end of an inning, the Giants nothing and the Cardinals nothing. Last night, Candy Maldonado in the 8th inning hit a ball up the alley in left center field that was ruled a ground rule double. And from where we sat and the way I called it, I thought that fan in the white shirt had leaned over the basket and touched the ball before it hit the basket. And I wondered, had he not touched it, if it had hit the basket, it might have stayed in play and it might have meant an additional run. As it turned out, I was wrong, and whoa, what a hornet's nest, or should we say a covey of Cardinals were flushed on that call. And if to err is human, you're listening to a very human person. But I do figure that forgiveness has to be here in a city named after a saint, right?
Yeah, and if I get half your aggravation, I want half that forgiveness, too.
So you
called
it,
me
baby.
at 7 this morning.
We
were
friends,
wrong.
Sorry, baby, sorry. All right. Foul back, 0-1. Candy Maldonado. Fouling it away, 0-1. Candy last night grounded to third, flied to center, popped up and doubled. 1 for 4. 1 ball and 1 strike to count.
They were throwing that slow stuff on the outside part of the plate last night, and during batting practice it was hit through the middle in the right field because you can get around on this fastball.
2 balls and 1 strike to count. There's one thing about John Tudor that jumps at you when you study his performances this year, and that is 16 starts, no complete games, and a total of 96 innings. Lined into left field and working towards the corner. Coleman over to cut it off, and Maldonado will hold on. What it turns out to be is John Tudor gives you a very strong 6 innings, so we'll be counting his pitches as the afternoon goes along.
There's the very thing that the batting coach Morales was talking about. Protect that outside corner and hit that ball if you choose, because he can't get that fastball by you. That's what he was trying to convince Maldonado of. And there you see Jose charting all those hits, and he's writing that down because he did come inside and Candy was able to open up and hit it hard to left field.
Chili Davis, who is the #1 Giant against left-hand pitching. He has 14 home runs and 34 RBIs against lefties. The Chili backed up by Will Clark. 0-1. Maldonado, standing at first, has less than average running speed. He is not a runner at all. He's a multi-talented kid except for speed. He's a break-even base stealer, 8 out of 16. Chili Davis, we told you, is the #1 hitter against left-handers, and he has been wearing Tudor out. He's hitting .570 against Tudor, admittedly only 7 at-bats. 2-0. Oh, what a beautiful pitch. You talk about hitting off emotion. Wow.
That's the classic. When you're behind that hitter, 2 balls and no strikes, throw something besides the fastball, and he really changed speeds and was so effective that Chili goes back, gets a little more stickum, but he's regrouping and asked to check that baseball. He took a swing at Tudor's elbow that time. You can see under it and way out in front. Tremendous pitch.
77 miles an hour. In the last 5 pitches that he has made, he's been in the 70s in 4 of the 5. The one pitch he gave up to Maldonado for a base hit, that was clocked at 85. That's his fastball.
And got it inside.
2-1. They count to Chili. They think there might be a hit-and-run play on here. It's a little tough to do. You don't have running speed at first, and you have Chili Davis, who has struck out over 100 times, although he strikes out less as a right-handed hitter. Tudor almost got him leaning. He just did get back.
What the Giants do with the left-hand pitcher is ask their base runner to take a one-way lead in the first move, go back to first base, and then on the next pitch, break. And if you break too soon, you're going to get cut off. And it looks like that's what Maldonado is doing, getting a big lead, a one-way lead.
2-1. Good fastball. fastball, and I guess Chile couldn't believe it on the outside corner. 2-2. Tony Pena trying to outthink Chili Davis behind the plate. Tudor does not allow much of a running game against him. There have only been 6 attempted steals. The opponents have been successful 4 times. Got him. The second strikeout. Remember last night, Greg Matthews, with a lot of off-speed pitches, struck out 7. And for good measure, Ken Daly came in and struck out Brenly. Will Clark, who came up in the #1 spot last night. That was in the 8th inning with the bases loaded. The Giants trailing by 2. Had his hacks against Ken Daly and hit a fly ball to right field. Clark 1 for 4 last night. Was a very solid part of the Giant attack in September and October. He hit about .360, including 8 home runs.
His pattern last night was to hit the middle to left field line, and he said it'll continue, but situations will dictate whether he'll stay with it. And here's a situation where he does have a gap between first and second with Maldonado on at first base.
1 ball and no strikes. If you remember, if you were with us last night, Clark lost a base hit on a fine play by Tommy Herr, who plugged up that hole. Then he single grounded out and hit the fly ball to right. 1-0 to Will, with Bob Melvin on deck. High towering drive to right field. Back goes Akindo on the track at the wall. Gone. And Clark almost passed Maldonado.
Yes. Maldonado stopped to watch it, and Clark very alertly stopped. You talk about some good quick base running. Maldonado, he thought maybe the ball was going to be caught. He was going to watch it, and Clark really had to put the brakes on.
Maldonado was almost wrong 2 ways. First of all, Maldonado started back to the bag when Clark hit it, and he appeared a little confused, and as you said, Clark came so close to passing him.
There he goes around. He sees the home run, and he's still looking. Then he'll pick up Maldonado right there. Whoa! Because Tudor had Maldonado breaking back, as you said, Vin. And that crowd just reacted to the ball being thrown back.
And the first pitch now to Bob Melvin is outside. Ball 1, 1-0. Melvin has been a very successful catcher for Dave Dravecky. That's one of the big reasons why he's in there. When Melvin has caught Dravecky, Dravecky was 5-1. Melvin caught 2 of Dravecky's 3 Giant shutouts. And also, Brenly has had a lot of trouble with Tudor. Right. Brenly 1 for 15 against Tudor. So you combine Brenly inability to get hits against Tudor, Melvin's success, and you have Melvin catching Dravecky. 1 ball and 2 strikes. 2-2. On deck, Jose Uribe. Giants put their brand on the game last night when Leonard hit a home run. They were second in the league to the Cubs in home runs. They hit 205 during the regular year. There's a drive to right center, but coming over is Akindo to take care of it. Take another look at what could have been quite a snafu. Maldonado's going to start coming back.
Batting 8, number 23.
He's going to watch it.
Jose Uribe.
Here he goes. And I mean, he's really coming back.
Yeah. And right there, he had to put those brakes on very alertly. Boy, did he stop. Whoop. He must have lost that ball, man.
Apparently.
Maldonado had to.
Because the way he turned it coming back, I think he thought it was caught. So it is 2-0 Giants, and here's Uribe. And he's out in front. So Candy Maldonado, confused but made it around.
Uribe is regrouping.
What's that line about we're lost but we're making good time? That was Candy for a minute.
Almost looked like Lloyd Mosby stealing second, stealing first, and going back.
0-1 to Jose. On the corner. That's a pinpoint pitch. 0-2.
They want to take that outside corner away from Tudor, and he's going to keep throwing it there until they do. And once they start to lean over, he'll push him back with the fastball.
John allowed 11 home runs during the regular year. pop fly, back of first. Lindemann angling over into foul territory, puts it away. 2 runs, 2 hits. A home run by Will Clark and almost wrong way Corrigan. And at the end of an inning and a half, it's the Giants 2 and the Cardinals nothing. High towering drive to right field. Back goes Oquendo on the track at the wall. Gone. And Clark almost passed Maldonado.
Yes.
Down on the field, before we get to the bottom of the second inning, Dave Dravecky was making his way out to the mound. He was intercepted by Ed Montague. As you see Terry Pendleton getting a wrist wrapped, his left wrist. Dave Dravecky met with Montague. Dravecky then turned after talking to the plate umpire, gave Montague the ball, walked back into the Giant dugout, unbuttoned his shirt, and then disappeared from our view. He was wearing, and I see one change immediately, he was wearing a white undershirt underneath his baseball uniform, and then he had a gold medal around on a gold chain around his neck. He's now wearing a black undershirt underneath his shirt, and perhaps that's part of it. You can see the black undershirt. It was white when he pitched the first inning.
It was the undershirt, and it was the sleeve that was supposedly the culprit as far as how he was dressed, so they made him take it off.
So everything is now satisfied with the black undershirt, and Terry Pendleton, Willie McGee, and Jim Lindemann in that order. Bottom of the second inning. The Giants 2, Cardinals nothing. Will Clark hit one out with Maldonado aboard. Terry Pendleton, much better numbers as a right-handed batter. He's hitting close to 340 this year from this side of the plate. 0-1. Pendleton, however, hit 8 of his 12 home runs left-handed. 2 balls, no strikes. Boy, what a great year he's had, and what a brilliant defensive year. Even though he's had a lot of errors, he's actually just made plays most third basemen couldn't get to. Right.
Well, we talked about it last night, the tip-off being how far over towards second base Ozzie Smith can play, because he knows this guy can cover that hole.
Can he ever? Big chopper over the head of Mitchell. It goes back to get it, does a 360 and throws him out. Boy, you talk about playing third base. There's a dandy.
That's a major league play, because it looked like it was going to get over his head, and he knew he was going to make a long throw. Watch him now. It's an artificial surface bounce. Now all he ice cream coned it, and now he's got to put something on it. And I tell you, he gets him by a pretty good margin. Major league play.
An AstroTurf bounce just to complicate matters, and the throw got him by plenty. Willie McGee takes ball 1-1-0. McGee in last night's game had 2 singles, went 2 for 4, made a very good defensive play.
His description of that defensive play, went in the gap, and he said he was going to dive for it. When it hit the surface, he decided to backhand it, and he said, I didn't see it the last 4 feet, put the glove where I thought it would be, and it was there.
Checked his swing. He might be the most consistent of the switch hitters. At first base, Dave Pallone calling strikes, so the count 1-2. McGee hitting 284 left-handed, 288 right-handed. 11 home runs, 5 left-handed, 6 right-handed. On the corner, and down he goes. So Dravecky looked a little bit like Tudor on that pitch. 2 down.
Dravecky will not give you the middle of that play. He'll in and out it, but here he takes a shot at that corner, and I mean, it is right there. Montague, strike 3. Tough pitch.
That brings up Jim Lindemann, who was a doubtful starter a day or so ago. He's had a bad back, and he also has a touch of the flu, but like any kid with the opportunity, he's not going to miss playing in this one. So here he is, fouled away. Lindemann, during the regular year, had 8 home runs and hit only a little above 200. He played the outfield and first base. Fisted and looped into center, base hit. So Lindemann strong enough to get jammed and still push it into center field. And a 2-out single will bring up Jose Oquendo.
Lindemann, a big guy. Dravecky looks like he comes inside, and he just muscled it out there.
Jose Oquendo, yet another switch hitter, but interestingly enough, his success depends on what position he plays. Can you believe this? When he's an infielder, he hits like an infielder. He hit .254 this year. When he's an outfielder, he hits like an outfielder, hitting .301. Now, how you figure that out? The chameleon, Jose Oquendo. Strike.
His batting coach, Johnny Lewis, really proud of this young guy because he said he's done it with just hard work. Hard work.
One home run, he hit it right-handed. He's up there with Lindemann at first, 2 out in the second, and of course Kevin Mitchell's play is a big play now in this inning. Foul ball right behind Nick Leyva. 0-2 the count to Oquendo, with Tony Pena hitting back of him. He joined us a little late in the second inning. Maldonado singled and Will Clark hit a home run, and it's 2-0 Giants, bottom of the second. Lindemann hasn't played that much. He has stolen 3 out of 4.
But they still check that bench. Melvin looking over there to see what Craig wants to do.
0-2. Foul back. When Roger Craig talks about calling pitch outs, and he talks about how he gets a feeling about the opposing base runners, he says if you really watch base runners, you can almost see when they're going to go. If they get assigned to go, they might suddenly fix their cap. They do something different in their lead. There's something about their face, and he's quite a student of the art.
He really is. He believes that whether you're robbing a bank or stealing second base, a thief will do something different.
0-2 the count. Busted bat, ground ball down to Robbie Thompson, and that will do it for Oquendo and his bat. No runs, 1 hit, a man left, and at the end of 2, the Giants 2, the Cardinals nothing, and a big play by Kevin Mitchell in the inning. We'll be back after these messages from your local station.
Now you can enjoy all the memories of the 1987 World Series with a copy of the official World Series program. With more than 90 pages of facts and figures, it's a real collector's item. To order your souvenir program, just send check or money order for $6 to World Series Program, Post Office Box 87, Trenton, New Jersey 08651. That's Box 87, Trenton, New Jersey 08651. Please include your proper return address.
The preceding was furnished by Major League Baseball.
Game 2 of the 1987 National League Championship Series is brought to you by Mobil 1 Synthetic Motor Oil. Mobil 1 protects your engine better than any conventional motor oil. And by Embassy Suites Hotels, where you get a beautiful 2-room suite for the price of a single room.
Vin, I was just paying particular attention to Tudor warming up between innings, getting ready, and remembering what Morales said, that they'll throw the pitch they feel most comfortable with. He only threw 1 curveball in all his warm-up pitches. They were either fastballs or change of speeds.
Well, we'll see now how that's applied to a pitcher, Dave Dravecky. Dravecky has 1 home run in his career. He hit it last year against a left-hander. It was Dennis Powell of the Dodgers. He has a rip and fouls it back 0-1. 2-0 in favor of the Giants, top of the 3rd. Ground ball to Ozzie Smith. 1 away. Robbie Thompson coming up, the second baseman for the Giants. He flied to center in the first inning. So Robbie in the series 0 for 4.
Second baseman, Robbie Thompson.
Hit off the end of the stick, another pool room shot. 2 down.
He has really had good control, Tudor has, of the off-speed pitches, and he was way out in front of that one after being way out in front of the second strike. And he hits it right off the end of the bat, has a little trouble getting out of that batter's box, but I tell you, he's really changing speeds well.
It's interesting, the pitcher who was least successful thus far is the fellow who threw the hardest, Todd Worrell.
And he was throwing 96, 97, yeah. But all the same.
Struck out in the first inning. Mitchell made a good play on that ball hit by Terry Pendleton, and that played a major part in retiring the Cardinals. Lindemann had a 2-out single instead of maybe a couple of men on base. Fouled away.
Now there was his fastball, but he had changed up so much that he got it by Mitchell. He's not afraid to come inside. That's the big thing about him. As we mentioned, here's a left-hander pitching in Fenway, not afraid to pitch inside, and that tells you a lot about his confidence.
That was another 85. 1-2. Ground ball inside first. Nice play by Lindemann to the bag. So the Giants retired in order as Jim Lindemann comes up with a dandy, and at the end of 2.5, 2-0 San Francisco. The gateway to the West, St. Louis, Missouri. He'll be due up second in the inning. We wanted to show you Barry Lyons going into the dugout, and you can see Tudor started up as if to get out of the way, and Lyons just kept crashing in there. Tommy Herr avoided Lyons, and Tudor out with a broken leg. A 1 in a million freak accident. And Tudor being led from the dugout, and to be honest, when that happened, most people pretty well wrote the Cardinals off.
Certainly did. Tudor came back. It was a tribute to his dedication in that whole rehab program that he had to go through, because it looked like his season was over and the year was over for St. Louis.
And did he come back? 8 wins and only 1 loss. In the third, Tony Pena, John Tudor, and Vince Coleman. Pena struggling on 2 fronts. He's struggling here, and it also hurts him to know that the 3 men for whom he was traded had such good years for Pittsburgh. Whoop.
Dravecky will come inside. He'll keep you honest. He won't let you lean over. I tell you, it's the old story. You show me a pitcher that comes inside, and I'll show you a pretty good pitcher. You show me one that doesn't, and you got a 9 and 15 pitcher.
3 balls and no strikes to Tony. That's in there. 3-1. Ball 4. So Pena opens up with a walk, and Tudor followed by Coleman and Smith. As far as Tudor's numbers are concerned with the bat, he has 7 hits, good for 5 runs batted in. And usually the key to a pitcher, if he strikes out less than half the time, that makes him dangerous. Well, if that's a rule of thumb, then Tudor is dangerous, because in 35 at-bats, he struck out only 6 times. That would make him handy.
And Clark gets his defensive setup from the bench. Craig, Mitchell's in close. Clark will be charging hard.
Down by 2, they still might play for the bunt to stay out of the double play, which is another strong point for the Giants. Remember, the Giants led the major leagues in double plays.
You see Clark walking over there. He's telling him, now I'm going to go in all the way, so don't back off, or I'm going to go in a little bit and come back and set it up. Keith Hernandez is the one who does that best, but what just happened there should not happen, where your first and third baseman are charging and you back off the mound.
Tudor with Coleman on deck. Clark charging, then stops, then comes again. The pitch is strike, and Tudor, after being around a bunt, pulled the bat back as if he was going to swing, and that's reason for another meeting.
Well, Dravecky is kind of breaking up that play, and they're going to have to make sure. And Robbie Thompson comes in, and he took charge right there and said, come on, you guys, you're going to do one or the other. You're either going to charge and throw the ball, or you're going to wait and see what happens. But there's a lot of indecision, and Dravecky is the guy who has to quarterback that.
And Tudor now looking at Dink Leyva to see if the bunt sign is still on, and he's asking Leyva to go through it again.
Well, it was on. I guarantee you, when charging hard, it just switched off. But right now, you would have to look for the bunt. But Dravecky's got to give his guys a chance.
0-1. The count to John Tudor with Pena at first. 2-0 Giants in the third. And they pitch out, and they got Pena going, and the throw got him as Uribe pinned him.
Roger, Craig, I tell you, he's uncanny. I mean, Pena had not done anything, and then Melvin, and perfect throw on the pitch out. And you can tell these Giants work on that play. Now, Melvin, look at that ball he gets to handle, and watch where he throws it, right to the first base side. Uribe just has to drop the glove and then forget about it. He no bunt, no worry about anything now.
Melvin, during the regular year, threw out 40% of the runners, including Vince Coleman twice. He has even a better arm than Bob Brenly. And remember, the combination gave the Giants the best success ratio in frustrating enemy base stealers.
2 pitch outs, and both times they worked. One last night and one today.
3-1 to count to John Tudor. 3-2.
You get a wide-angle view of it. Now, Pena, a pretty good start. Melvin may have even gone out a little bit too soon, but look at this throw right there. Just catch the ball and drop the glove.
1 away and a full count to John Tudor. Got him. So it shows you how quickly an inning can start and suddenly be turned off.
And just to the pitch out play that Craig uses so effectively is probably one of the most botched up plays of any of them, because pitchers will hurry their throws, catchers will get out too soon, pitchers will throw too hard. But it's obvious that the Giants worked on that from spring training on.
Talking about pitch outs with Roger, and he was talking about one of his pitchers who shall be nameless, and he said he threw a 50-mile-an-hour pitch out because he was aiming, and he said, I really get on my pitchers' backs to throw that ball hard on a pitch out. And Dravecky did, and it paid off.
The most he's ever called is 3 on 1 batter. That's a lot.
And how? 0-2 the count to Vince Coleman. We have 2 down in the 3rd. Giants leading 2-0 on a 2-run home run by Will Clark. Coleman flied to right field first trip. In there. Strike 3 called. 3 strikeouts for Dravecky, but the pitch out really scrambled the Cardinals' eggs in the 3rd. At the end of 3-2-0 Giants, here's a look back at a very special Olympic moment.
An Olympic moment brought to you by the Prudential, offering a full range of insurance and other financial services. The Prudential.
Montreal, 1976. 14-year-old Nadia Comaneci of Romania wins the gold medal in the uneven parallel bars, the balance beam, and finally is named all-around individual champion, receiving perfect scores of 10 on 7 occasions. Nadia Comaneci, one of the great performances in Olympic history.
Leonard a fly ball in the 1st inning, but it was important. And another fly ball to dead center. A late start by McGee, and this one is gone. Leonard reaching the seats in center field. The Giants, the #2 home run hitting team in the league with 205, and now put their brand on this one. And it is 2-1 San Francisco.
I think they pretty much pitch identical. They throw pitches off the plate. They try to get you to chase their pitch. They'll pitch around guys they don't want to pitch to, and they're not going to overpower you. They're more of a finesse type pitcher. They try to get a hitter off balance, and if you allow them to, you're not going to be successful against them.
And Chili Davis has suffered. He struck out twice last night against Greg Matthews, and he struck out his first at-bat today against John Tudor, so he can give you chapter and verse about those 2 tricky left-handers. But remember, he is the #1 Giant as far as success against left-hand pitching. 2-0 Giants on the home run by Will Clark with Maldonado aboard. Now it'll be Leonard, Maldonado, and Davis.
And with Maldonado on deck, he stops, and Jose Morales, his tutor, is just giving him all kinds of instructions as he stands in front of him.
Jeffrey Leonard grounded out in the 1st inning. Maldonado, hitting back of him, has already chatted with Morales. Leonard has certainly grown up as a hitter and become a power hitter. When he was in the Dodger minor league system and was eventually traded to Houston, the feeling was he didn't have any power. But as he matured physically, he has gone to the long ball. He hit 19 during the regular year. And anybody who saw him hit one into the empty seats in center last night, you have an idea just how strong he is. Another drive to center. McGee going back to the track at the wall, and it is gone. Leonard has hit another, and we can just sit down and relax because he takes his time.
Oh, he was running hard, thinking it was going to stay in the park till he saw it go in the seats, and then he put that thing in about the 3rd gear, and here he comes around 3rd now.
The crowd is reacting as they started, I guess, in Chicago at Wrigley Field. On an opposing home run, they throw the ball disdainfully back on the field, and they've done it twice here today.
Here's the swing. He kind of goes out and gets it. Now, he's not, oh, he thinks maybe, but he goes pretty good now. He's not sure right here, but watch when he rounds first base and he sees it go over. Right there. Whoa, let's enjoy it.
Yeah, watch the hurry.
I don't blame him.
No, it is 3-0 Giants here in the 4th inning, and Candy Maldonado, who singled in the 2nd, starting it off. 2-0 the count. Chili Davis hitting back of him. Candy, a line drive single in the 2nd inning. Good play by Vince Coleman, racing towards the line to hold it to a single. And then, of course, you remember Maldonado started back to the bag on the pitch to Clark, then stopped on the long drive to right and was coming back to first as Clark's ball went out for a home run. Good play by Don Zimmer. Interesting, the fortunes of baseball. When Don Zimmer was the manager at San Diego, one of his coaches was Roger Craig. He's a beauty.
Oh, Popeye, boy, he is something special.
2-2 to Maldonado. Good change, and Maldonado way out in front of it. For John Tudor, his 3rd strikeout.
Not only does he change speeds well, watch where he spots it. He does get this up, but I mean, it's not close to the strike zone. It's out. If you're going to miss away from him. If he misses inside with that one, he's in deep trouble.
It'll bring up Chili Davis, who struck out in the 2nd inning. Giants 3 runs, 3 hits. Cardinals no runs, 1 hit. On the corner. John Tudor stung by a 2-run home run by Will Clark, and now this one to center field by Jeffrey Leonard. Leonard's ball really carried exceptionally well on a cool afternoon.
Last night that ball carried. I mean, it's 414 dead center, and that's a long way.
0-1. And another one on that outside corner. Chili Davis can't quite believe it, but the count's 0-2.
And the first time up was off-speed pitches. This time 2 fastballs right on that corner. One and 2. Just laid off, and it just missed. Remember, Tudor has beaten the Giants 4 straight. In his 16 starts this year, the Cardinals won 14 of them. 2-2. High pop fly off first base. Lindemann just inside the foul line and puts it away. Friends, once again, we'd like to remind our viewers we'll be selecting the NBC Miller Lite Player of the Game at the conclusion of the ballgame.
First baseman.
Then the most famous pitcher I know of for looking away from the hitter, of course, I think is Valenzuela.
Yeah.
But Tudor gives you a little bit of that in his delivery. He doesn't keep his eyes glued on that hitter. He turns away and kind of looks towards first base. Very distracting to a hitter.
Here's Will Clark, who hit that home run to right in the 2nd inning. He hit 7 home runs against left-hand pitchers during the regular year. And he has that graceful, slightly uppercut swing that hits a lot of towering fly balls. The ball he hit last night with the bases loaded, he just got under it.
He's one of those guys that the way he takes the bat out of the bat rack says, I am a hitter.
He hit .320 against left-handers, so he certainly doesn't give or bail out at all. 2-1.
We talked about it last night. He says he hangs in there even a little bit more and gets jammed more by left-handers because he doesn't want to open up too soon, and he wants to keep that front shoulder right in there.
2-1 to count to Will Clark. Cued foul outside of third down the line. Of course, you can't mention Will Clark without thinking of Jack Clark. And Jack just has to sit quietly in the Cardinal dugout and die a little as each inning goes by, and deep alone in his thoughts. 3-2 the count to Will. Jack, of course, was such a mainstay for St. Louis. He was such an important player for the Giants. 3-2. Dan Dreesen played first base last night in his stead, and today Jim Lindemann. But it's just virtually impossible to replace a man who had 35 home runs and 106 RBIs. There's a drive into left center field for a base hit. McGee over to cut it off. Clark will hold on. Wanted to make him throw.
I tell you, Will Clark, it's something to talk to a young hitter and listen to him say to you like he did last night and again today, my game plan is this. Get that ball inside, I'm going to pull it, but I'm going up there to hit the ball up the middle and to the left field line and just wait on that ball. And usually you think a young guy's up there hacking. He's got a real good idea.
And he is loaded with confidence.
Oh, is he ever? And that's what you have to have. I mean, the late and great Pete Reeser used to say you have to have inner arrogance. Know that you're good. Don't wear it on your sleeve. Just keep it inside. And all the good ones have it.
Well, here's Melvin. He flied to right field in the second inning. 0-1. Clark at first. A run in here in the fourth. And the Giants leading 3-0.
He's really got Clark breaking back so far, I'll tell you.
Clark is not a good base runner, even though he had a stolen base last night because Ozzie Smith kind of backed off as if he might be spiked. He has stolen 5 bases and was caught 17 times. There he goes, and it's a hit and run fly ball. Whoa. Vince Coleman puts it away.
Melvin had a tough time getting out of that box.
1 run, 2 hits, 1 left. Jeffrey Leonard hits a home run into the center field seats, and the Giants lead 3-0.
Leonard has certainly grown up as a hitter and become a power hitter. And anybody who saw him hit one into the empty seats in center last night, you have an idea just how strong he is. Another drive to center. McGee going back to the track at the wall, and it is gone. Leonard has hit another.
And we can just sit down and relax because he takes his time.
Oh, he was running hard thinking it was going to stay in the park till he saw it go in the seats, and then he put that thing in about the 3rd gear, and here he comes around 3rd now.
3-0 Giants. Remember in the 3rd inning when Will Clark hesitated on an apparent bunt situation? Now he's getting a crash course on the special signs for that play as to when to come all the way. Ozzie Smith lined out to left in the 1st inning. He's 0 for 1.
Usually, Vin, when you rub across like that, it means no or don't come. Rubbing down or nothing would mean come on ahead.
1-1 to Ozzie, trying to get something started here for the Cardinals in the bottom of the 4th. They have just 1 hit, a looping single to center by Jim Lindemann in the 2nd inning. That's hit foul out of play. And the count 1-2, and Ozzie cracked his bat. He'll have to get another.
Remember, we talked earlier about Dravecky. When he's got good stuff, will break bats. That's the 2nd one. He got Okendo, and now he's got Ozzie Smith. It's just one of those ways you check a guy. And Dravecky, if he breaks the bats, got pretty good stuff. I wonder if they keep a record on that. Most bats broken by a left-hand pitcher in League Championship Series. Come on, Elliot.
Daytime. That's, of course, a minimum 10 games and 30 at-bats. 1-2. 2-2. Kind of important when you're down, trying to shake the ball club up to get your leadoff man on. Ozzie has a great hitting record on a 3-2 count. Let's see what he does in this spot. And he's aboard. So that's the 2nd time the leadoff man has reached on a walk. Pena opened up the 3rd with a walk. And Whitey now trying to build a fire with Herb, Pendleton, and McGee coming up. For Dravecky, his 2nd walk. He's allowed just 1 hit. Tommy Herr wants to talk to Nick Leyva.
Well, he can handle that bat, pretty obvious, and what he's looking for is make sure, and it may be because of those pitch outs that they made quick changes in the dugout, saying, well, maybe he does know something, and Tommy Herr doing what he should do. If he's not positive about the sign, call your coach.
That's one thing the Cardinals feared, that Craig might intimidate some of the runners because of his success, and so far he's 2 for 2, and that might not intimidate you, but it certainly is making them think twice at this stage. Almost threw it away.
If you're thinking about a straight steal, Ozzie stole 43 out of 52. Only caught 9 times all year. But remember, they're down 3-0 in the 4th inning. On deck, Terry Pendleton.
They're really giving her a lot of room in left center field. They're shading him in right center field. Smith has a good lead. Melvin constantly checking with Craig.
1 ball and no strikes. So Dravecky walked Pena, got away with it in the 3rd. Walked Smith 3-2, and he's behind 1 ball and no strikes to Tommy Hurd. Hurd is a right-handed batter. Makes better contact than he does hitting left-handed. So if you're going to put a play on with him, it's better when he's hitting right. And he promptly hits it up the middle. Base hit. Ozzie to second, and he'll hold. And the Cardinals are alive. Run is at first and second, and nobody out.
He just sends it right back up the middle. Didn't try to drive it too hard. And there you see it.
And now the cleanup hitter, Terry Pendleton, representing the tying run, huddles with Nick Leyva. Well, the Cardinals are doing a lot of thinking, but the Giants so far are doing the scoring.
I have to believe, Vin, they did change something because of Craig's success with the 2 pitch outs, because why would you keep having meetings like that?
Right. And Pendleton, you remember, hit the ball hard in the 2nd inning, and Kevin Mitchell went up the ladder to one-handed, do a 360 and threw him out. And now Pendleton, the tying run, 2 on, nobody out. Willie McGee on deck. High fly ball into right field. It's playable. Tagging is Ozzie Smith. Maldonado for the catch, and the runner's home because Candy has a gun. It looked like Ozzie Smith was almost going to try to catch that throw. Do you see the way he put his hands up in the air? I don't know if he's trying to bother Jose Aquindo, and Eric Gregg is saying, hey, cut that out.
He was just having some fun, but he could have got himself in trouble. Now, he does pretend like he's going to catch it. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
that could have been interference. If it gets by him, it could have cost him.
Absolutely. Surprised, but he was going to try. And now Roger Craig is coming out. And let's see if he goes to the mound or if he's gone to Eric Gregg. He is to the left of the mound. I think he's heading towards a second base umpire, and he's going to talk about possible interference or the attempt.
I really think what he's doing is playing a little bit of a mind game here, because Whitey played a mind game with Dravecky, causing him to change his shirt, and now, if nothing else, Craig is going to show, hey, listen, if they're going to fool around, I want some protection too. So
remember years ago, I think it was Eddie Stanky and other second basemen suddenly would put their hands up in the air on a pitch to the plate, and they finally had to make sure there was no movement as the pitcher was delivering. Here's that look again. Ozzie looked like he was going to handle the throw from Candy Maldonado, and of course that does block out and screen Jose Uribe slightly.
I think what that was a little boy and Ozzie Smith coming out.
And a lot of angry man coming out of the Giant dugout. And Roger Craig, he's on record now. So 2 on, 1 out, and Willie McGee struck out in the 2nd inning. 3-0 Giants, and the Cardinals trying to get back in the ball game here in the 4th. In there. 0-1. At second base, Ozzie Smith. At first, Tommy Hurd. McGee 2 for 5 in the series. And there's a fly ball to left. That bat might have broken on that too. Leonard makes the catch. It sounded like he hit it with the morning paper, and that could be the 3rd bat that was cracked.
It definitely is broken, Vin.
So McGee, a little fly ball to left. 2 down, and the batter will be Jim Lindeman, who hit a flare for a base hit in the 2nd inning into center field. High fly ball, playable, and Jeffrey Leonard says it's catchable. And it is. No runs, 1 hit, and 2 left. At the end of 4, 3-0 Giants. We'll be back after these messages from your local station.
continued at a ballpark near you.
The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
Friends, a reminder, this telecast presented by authority of Major League Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. A reminder, it's a big day of Major League Baseball on NBC. Our game this afternoon moving to the 5th inning, 3-0 Giants. And tonight, the Detroit Tigers and the Minnesota Twins. It'll start at 8 p.m. with Major League Baseball and Inside Look.
John Tudor in 4 innings has made 66 pitches, 45 strikes, 21 balls. The home run, though, has kind of gotten to him so far.
Remember, the Giants hit 16 home runs against the Cardinals during the regular season, 9 of them here. And they come right back and they have hit 3 home runs here so far in 13 innings. Strike to Jose Uribe, followed by Dave Dravecky and then Robbie Thompson. Uribe fouled out to Lindemann back in the 2nd inning and pops it up into shallow center. Tommy Herr going out with Ozzie, and it falls between Ozzie and Willie McGee. Ozzie called for it. At least he put up his gloved hand, but McGee evidently did not see it, and that dropped amongst them. Herr, Smith, and McGee. That should have been caught.
It should have been caught. That's just bad playing. Ozzie could make it, and now you can see he gets run off the ball by McGee. He was going to make the play, and all of a sudden you see him veer right there, and McGee can't get to it. Smith's got to go out and try to make the catch on any ball, but the center fielder has to run everybody off and make sure of it.
So Uribe gets a gift double. And Dravecky, who is a pretty fair bunter, gets one down. Tudor is going to let it roll, and Penelon picks it up. And it'll be a bunt single for Dave Dravecky. So on a pop fly and a bunt, the Giants are in business, 1st and 3rd, and nobody out. And Robbie Thompson coming up. NBC Sports presents the 1987 National League Championship Series. Today from Busch Memorial Stadium, the San Francisco Giants versus the St. Louis Cardinals. Leonard, a pretty good lead, but he was going back to the bag. Normally, a pitcher is like Pavlov's dog on AstroTurf. If the base runner's foot steps and touches on the rug, it's like a bell goes off and he salivates and throws over there. And Leonard's right foot is on the rug, but he was intimidated and he was going the other way. Leading 3-0, Roger Craig is looking ahead to shore up defensively, and Eddie Milner is loosening up down in the Giant bullpen to go in the outfield.
He's widened his lead as if to draw a throw.
Ball 1-2. Leonard during the regular year stole 16 out of 23. Well, that's the 2nd time that Maldonado has gone down on strikes. And the batter will be Chili Davis. And for John Tudor, 5 strikeouts. Same number as Dravecky. Chili Davis struck out and popped up 0 for 2. Remember at the start of the game we told you that Tudor, at least his numbers tell you, he is a 6-inning pitcher exactly. He's in the 6th inning now, losing. And for the 2nd time today, bullpen activity in the Cardinal pen. There's a shot up the middle, base hit. Leonard will hold at 2nd. So Chili Davis, a line single to put runners at 1st and 2nd, 1 out, and Will Clark coming up. That's 8 hits off John Tudor. Will Clark 2 for 2. Hit the 2-run home run and single. Chili Davis will now give way to Eddie Milner, who figures to play center field the remainder of the game anyway. So Milner taking over, running for Davis, and then he'll stay in. Ball 1 to Will Clark. Bob Melvin on deck. Clark is 3 for 6. hitting .500 in the series, and he has already hit a home run. Little nubber back to the box. Tudor's going to go to first base. He couldn't quite make up his mind, I think, on whether he was going to throw to Tommy Herr or not, and opted for the cinch out at first. So you have 2 down and Melvin coming up.
If that ball had been hit harder, he was going to go to second base for a double play, but the fact that he hit it off the end of the bat, it's a big, looked like a big breaking curveball. He hits it off the end of the bat. It is. And watch him. He's undecided because he doesn't think it's hit hard enough. His idea to go to second, he really loses it and makes sure he gets the 1 man out. And here comes Mike Rourke. He wants to talk to him.
Mike Rourke going out with some instructions, I'm sure, from Whitey Herzog. First base is open, and he might just be saying to Tudor, a veteran and a most successful pitcher, would you rather pitch to Melvin or put him on and take your best shot against Uribe?
Who do you want is what he's asking him. And of course it's going to be one of those things, if he decides it's Uribe, to make Melvin maybe chase a bad ball.
We'll watch Tony Pena, and it would appear as if he's going to settle in a crouch. He does, so they're pitching to Melvin. Second and third, 2 out in the 6th, 3-0 Giants. Ball 1, 1-0. In there.
What they hope that Melvin will do is try not to pull the ball and stay with it and go to the opposite field. And that way he won't be flying open too soon. They think he can hit better that way.
Leonard down the line from third. Eddie Milner, the runner, at second base. Ball 2, trying to sneak that ball over at the knees. 2-1. Shadows now starting to play havoc in right field. It almost looks like spotlights out there. 2-1. Ball 3.
Well, I think Vin right here, if I were hitting, if I were right, what are they going to put him on?
Yep. So they kept giving him pitches down and away, hoping he'd go with it and hit a ground ball to Herr or Lindemann. He wouldn't bite, so they put him on. John Tudor, that is his first walk. And now with the bases loaded, he has to get the number 8 hitter, Jose Uribe.
Shortstop, Jose Uribe.
He's been getting him by throwing that ball to the outside part of the plate, and the only way that Uribe can take it away is to get on top of that plate and force Tudor to come inside. So far he hasn't done that.
Ball 1. Uribe is a switch hitter, and if you wonder about bringing in a right-hander, Uribe's hit over 300 as a left-handed batter. He's hitting about 250 right-handed. Consequently, they're staying with Tudor rather than go to Bob Forsch. That would turn him around. And he's way outside now. He's not missing by a little. 2-0 the count. Herzog and his pitching coach Mike Rourke sweating it out.
I really think I'd have him taken, but the way things have been going, they more than likely have the hit sign on.
Uribe doesn't walk very much at all during the regular year. And he's behind 3-0. So after nibbling with Melvin, and that might very well have broken his rhythm and broken his idea of the strike zone, finally walk him, and now he can't throw a strike.
It could be, except that he did exactly what he wanted to do to Melvin. He threw that ball where he wanted it on the outside part of that plate, out of the zone, to make sure that he wouldn't be a good strike to hit, and if he chased it, he'd make an out. But boy, he has really missed badly here.
3 balls and no strikes to Jose Uribe. He walked only 24 times all year. Strike.
Now what do? Do you let him hit?
All year, in looking at his numbers, he doesn't walk and he doesn't strike out. So I assume hitting 8th, Roger has had him swinging.
Oh, he's going to turn him loose here the way things have been going all year. You have to look for him if he gets a pitch that he likes to go to whacking on it. But he's really got to discipline himself to pick a zone and make sure it's the pitch he wants.
And it's a ground ball hit to Ozzie, and he will feed her, and he's out of the jam. For the Giants in the 6th inning, no runs, 2 hits, and 3 left. At the end of 5 1/2, 3-0 San Francisco.
In 1970, the Minnesota Twins lost the American League Championship Series to Baltimore, and now 17 years later, the Twins return to try it again. They'll battle the Detroit Tigers in Game 1 of the American League Championships tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern right here on NBC. It all begins with Major League Baseball, an inside look. The traditions are here, the memories are waiting. You betcha, right here on NBC Sports. Eddie Milner, who ran for Chili Davis, stays in the game in center field. And the Cardinals, trying to mount an attack, they'll have Vince Coleman, Ozzie Smith, and Tommy Herr. The Cardinals have only been shut out 4 times during the regular season. So if you can throw a blanket over them, you've really accomplished something. And Dravecky has kept them quiet for 5 innings. Foul back out of play. Dravecky has allowed only 2 hits. A looping single to center by Lindemann and a base hit by Herr. A bunt, foul. 0-2. Vince with 109 stolen bases, only caught 22 times. And if you walk him, you almost feel like you've given up a double.
Yes, sir. The report on him is he can turn a walk into a triple. This is as far as Dravecky wants to go. He wants to make it happen right here on the 2-2. He don't want to take him 3-2.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Ball 3. Boy, that was a big pitch John Tudor made, going 3-0, 3-1, and then getting with the bases loaded.
Yes, sir.
Well,
the good ones do it.
So Herzog got off the hook there. Now he's trying to put Craig on the hook with his leadoff man Coleman. 3-2 to Vince. And he walked him.
2 breaking balls. When he got to 2-2, threw a curveball and threw a curveball 3-2.
Interesting that Dravecky has walked 3 batters, all 3 leadoff men. Pena in the 3rd, Smith in the 4th, Coleman in the 6th. Now Ozzie, line to left and walk. Ozzie has his own particular sign with Vince Coleman about putting on hit-and-run plays. It is distinct and separate from all the other signs on the club. And whether Ozzie wants to try and light a fire by putting on a show or letting Coleman run, they're down 3-0 here in the 6th, and Ozzie checking with Nick Leyva.
He has great concentration batting second because he's got to give Coleman a chance to take off. Of course, it's 3-0, but that doesn't mean a thing. You still have to look for Coleman to go.
1 ball and no strikes. I think Coleman would love to steal a base to wake up the crowd and also wake up his ball club. And he is just the type of runner who can do that. He can have that kind of effect.
Craig calls all the throws to first base and the pitch outs.
Bob Brenly going down to the Giant bullpen. Dravecky just freezing him by holding. Fouled away. If you can just change your tempo so that the runner can't dance to it, you have a chance, and that's what Dravecky is trying to do. Plus, just hold it and look at him and freeze him.
A lot of times you'll see them stop at the right about at the letters and sometimes at the belt, but if they can just hold it, once they come to the set position, it'll just take the spring right out of the runner's legs.
Don Robinson and left-handed Joe Price throwing in the Giant bullpen. 1-1.
Melvin is 2 for 2 as far as getting Coleman.
You know, it's interesting. We showed you a graphic that said Coleman's success ratio is 84%, but it's only in the 30s against the Giants. Ground ball up the middle, flagged by Uribe, on the bag for 1, over to Will Clark, double play. And the Giants come up with their specialty, the double play.
And the thing that Dravecky did, he kind of quick pitched there because he had Coleman stopped dead. And it's a perfect double play ball, and Coleman is not even close to taking the infielder Uribe out of the play. He just takes it himself, and he makes sure this time he taps that bag. You can see how far Ozzie Smith was out.
So the #1 team in the major leagues in turning double plays uses that as a weapon. And with 2 down in the 6th inning, Tommy Herr coming up. Interesting, in the old days, you always said if a team led in double plays, you said, yeah, it was a bad team, and there were a lot of base runners on all the time. But here's a division winner leading the majors, and they also lead in earned run average. So that would certainly blow that theory out. 2 balls and no strikes to Tommy Herr. Terry Pendleton on deck. 3-0 Giants. 2 out in the 6th inning. 3-1 to Herr. And he hits it towards right center, but Milner is there. So the Cardinals are quiet in the 6th. And at the end of 6, Giants 3, Cardinals 0. And we'll be back after these messages from your local station.
Fluids and minerals. Want my whole hot body wet with Gatorade. Supplying energy to working muscles. No, there's nothing better when I sweat. I just got to get Gatorade. When you're hot, nothing's better. Gatorade is thirsty. Ooh, I got to get it for that deep down body thirst.
Game 2 of the 1987 National League Championship Series is brought to you by Buick. And again this year, as it has for 85 years, the great American road belongs to Buick. And by CertainTeed, manufacturer of America's finest quality of home insulation. The Giants 3 runs, 8 hits. Cardinals no runs, 2 hits. A 2-run home run by Will Clark and a home run by Jeffrey Leonard. And into the 7th we go.
What they're talking about is Sherry says one of the tip-offs on Dravecky, he has to keep that left arm behind that left ear much like a catcher, and he was watching him and they were talking about it.
Now Dravecky trying to get a base hit, fouls it away. 0-1.
His dad is here from Youngstown, and what a thrill it must be.
Oh.
When, huh?
Yeah.
Having kids of your own, sit in the stands and watch your son.
Little fly ball to right field, and coming up is Akindo to make the catch. 1 down, and Robbie Thompson will be the batter. Nice play by Jose. To look ahead for the Cardinals in the bottom of the 7th inning, if you're not keeping score, Terry Pendleton, Willie McGee, and Jim Lindemann.
Robbie Thompson has taken a hack, or at least an attempt, on every first pitch in this game.
0-1. John Tudor has struck out 5. He has walked 1, and that really was the intentional pass to Bob Melvin. He came close to walking Uribe, but he fought back off the ropes. 1-2.
Shadows present kind of an interesting contrast because the top of the light standard is the shadow covering Tudor and a little bit of sunlight in front of him.
Little pop 5 behind first base and foul ground, and Jim Lindemann is there. 2 down. Kevin Mitchell coming up.
Third baseman Kevin Mitchell.
Struck out, grounded out, and lined out, and he has made 2 fine defensive plays, handling a ball hit by Pendleton. It almost bounced over his head in the 2nd inning, and then that hot shot that he short hopped off Oquendo's bat in the 5th inning. And popped it up on the right side. Lindemann and Herr, and it'll be Tommy Herr. So Tudor, a very quiet 7th inning, and at the end of 6 1/2, the Giants 3 and the Cardinals 0. It was the biggest single swing by a Cardinal all year in the 9th inning against Roger McDowell. Terry Pendleton hit one over the fence to tie it up, and the Cardinals went on to win. Had the Mets won that game, they would have been a half a game behind St. Louis. Instead, they were 2.5 behind. Dwight Gooden was shelled the next day, and it was Pendleton leading off the 7th today who administered that big swing. Terry robbed of a hit by Mitchell in the 2nd inning, flied to right in the 4th, and the count 0-2. The lights have been on since the start of the game, and what had been a bright shiny day is now overcast.
One good thing about the overcast, we no longer have shadows.
Players really like that sky, too. Plenty of clouds up there, so you can find that ball as it goes from gray to blue.
No balls, 2 strikes. 0-1. Dave Dravecky trying to shut down the Cardinals, and he's done it for 6 innings. 2-2. The only jam, really, that Dravecky has been in was the 4th inning, when he gave up a walk to Smith and a single by her, and got Pendleton, McGee, and Lindeman on fly balls. And he's had trouble with the leadoff man 3 of the 6 innings. But not this time. So Pendleton strikes out. And that would be a half a dozen strikeouts for Dravecky. We told you that his high this year, 7. A couple of years ago, he had 11 strikeouts for a career high. Willie McGee struck out and flied to left. 0 for 2. Foul back.
Willie's still having problems with that left wrist. You can see he let go of that bat, and he's going to take a little bit of time here. It's the left wrist. It's heavily taped. Jammed it. And when he swung at that one like he did last night, he just couldn't hold on to the bat.
You can see the vulnerability of the Cardinals against left-handers, with McGee hurting batting right-handed and Jack Clark not playing at all. Boy, that takes a lot of RBIs out of the lineup. And it's a high fly ball to Eddie Milner. 2 down in the 7th inning. Where Tudor has been in some scrapes, Dravecky really has just been sailing along.
It's funny, the yardstick they use. Remember, we talked about the broken bats, and he broke a bat early, Okendo, in the 2nd inning, so it indicated pretty good stuff. And I tell you, when you got 2 outs in the 7th inning against this ball club and working on a shutout and giving up only 2 hits, you've got to say he's got pretty good stuff going.
Jim Lindeman singled and flied to left. Fastball missing, 1 ball and no strikes. The Dravecky, and we believe he's broken 3 bats so far.
Right. I kept track.
Yep.
3's it.
Big chopper up along third. Mitchell at the bag, but a good arm to get him. So the Cardinals still on the ground, and at the end of 7, the Giants 3 and the Cardinals nothing. Francisco Giants and President Robert A. Lurie. And of course, this is an important year for Bob Lurie. Among other things, on November the 3rd, San Francisco will have Proposition W, which has to do with the Giants eventually leaving Candlestick Park when the lease runs out in '94 and building a stadium 7th and Townsend downtown. And of course, for Bob Lurie, he played a tremendous part in helping the Giant franchise stay in San Francisco, because back in 1976 it was just about packed up and gone to Toronto.
It looked as if the Giants would end up in Toronto. But in a last-minute crusade, San Francisco Mayor George Moscone went to the National League and to court and finally located 2 investors to save the Giants, Bob Lurie and Bud Herseth, who agreed to buy the team.
At a board meeting, they did agree to sell it to Toronto, and I was in touch with Mayor Moscone and with a lot of people, and we finally did make the offer and went to court and was awarded the franchise.
Jeffrey Leonard, Candy Maldonado, and Eddie Milner. Leonard grounded out, homered, and singled, so he's 4 for 7 in the series. Little foul first. Jim Lindeman coming over to the VIP box, and he can't get it. It's behind him.
And he ordinarily catches that ball, but they've got the auxiliary seats built there. And, of course, that fan is taking a little bit of a beating because they think Lindeman could have made that play, but the fan reached up. But the fan is entitled, once it gets over that railing, I mean, he's entitled to try to catch that ball.
John Tudor still has something left. That pitch was clocked at 86. So in what would appear to be his last inning, he can still sneak up that 86-mile-an-hour fastball. 2-2.
This pitch coming up here is the one I believe, Van, that he's going to have to make sure he brings it to the ballpark all the time. It's going to be something off speed because he has set him up with 2 fastballs.
Came inside with that fastball, and Leonard was guessing and broke his bat. So Tudor decides to make it an expensive at bat for Leonard, and that was 86.
He's spotting that ball well, though. He's coming way inside, where even if Leonard hits that ball, he's going to pull it foul. He's not going to hit that ball fair. I mean, it's not. It's right off the inside corners where it is. So you got to like this guy the way he pitches.
Oh, and how? John Tudor. Change, and it's looped into right field. So Leonard hit a home run to center field. In the 6th inning, he was jammed and fought it into right. Now he goes out after a changeup and just hits it over the net for a base hit.
That's a case of making a good pitch and a fella getting a hit. He's going to fight it off, and he just went with it, and he loops it in there. Polite single, a nice polite single.
And the pitch was clocked at 75. So from the 11-mile-an-hour difference, he went from a broken bat to a flare to right. And here is Maldonado, single to left and then struck out twice. That off-speed pitch has been driving him a little dippy. And that one is hit into center for a base hit. McGee coming up to get it on the second hop. And Leonard holding, and that tag attempt by her allowed the ball to get away, but is backed up by Tudor. So back-to-back singles in the 8th inning with nobody out, and Eddie Milner coming up.
Center fielder Eddie Milner.
Milner has been asked to sacrifice, or at least he has sacrificed once this year. Very fast. He is grounded into only 2 double plays. So we'll see whether they want him to go the traditional route. You have another left-hand hitter on deck in Will Clark.
I would think he'd be bunting, Vin, and shorten up at 1st and 3rd.
Yep, the Cardinals are looking for it. So Leonard at 2nd, Maldonado at 1st. Nobody out in the 8th, 3-0 in favor of the Giants, trying to get a couple more. And he got the bunt down. Tudor's going to let Pendleton pick it up. And wow, what a close play. And a fine play by Tommy Herr. He had to take that thing just about off Eddie Milner's head going by. And leaning into the runner like that, he's wide open. Excellent play by Tommy Herr.
Good bunt by Milner. And Tudor knows it's going to be a tough play for him, because if he picks it up, he's running away from the play. And Pendleton with extra on it, but Herr, he really picks that thing off high and then like a bullfighter. Terry had to throw that ball hard.
Ole. So 2nd and 3rd and 1 out, and they're going to walk Will Clark intentionally. And Melvin will come up and bat against Tudor. Those are the availables, and of course Milner's already in the game. So the base is loaded in the 8th with 1 out. Melvin is flied to right and to left, and then remember they tried to kind of make him go after a bad ball and finally walked him intentionally in the 6th inning. High foul off first base, and that will carry out a play in the count 1-2. Foul tipped and held by Tony Pena. So Melvin strikes out. A half a dozen strikeouts for John Tudor.
He pulled a string on him, and he's way out in front. Just flicks it. Pena with that first baseman mitt behind the plate, able to hold on to it.
So each left-hander has chalked up 6 strikeouts, and Jose Uribe coming up again in a big spot. Remember, he came up with a bases loaded in the 6th. The count went to 3-0, then to 3-1. They let him swing, and he hit into a force play. Now in the 8th inning, he gets a second chance. Ground ball to the hole. Ozzie has it, goes through his legs after going to his knee to make sure it wouldn't go through. And it is 5-0 in favor of the Giants. That's a rare play. They ought to put that thing in a time capsule.
It really is a rare play. He was going to make sure that ball didn't get by him, and I wonder if his concentration was such. Now watch him get down on his knees, which he rarely does, and it just goes right through the wicket. He got down on his knees but didn't get the glove down, and that is really man bites dog. Whoa.
So an error by Ozzie Smith, allowing 2 runs to come over. And it is 5-0 San Francisco. And Dravecky feeling very chipper about things now, as Uribe at first and Will Clark at third. 1 ball and no strikes. And here comes the runner to the plate, and the throw to Pena. Clark is out. So they tried to time it on the throw to first, and Will Clark is cut down 1-3-2. But the damage is done. 2 runs over in the 8th. And at the end of 7.5, the Giants 5, the Cardinals nothing, as Clark comes up empty.
Here's another one of those plays you practice in spring training. On the first move right there, the guy on third, he has to break home. Will Clark does. But I tell you, that's an old Ping Bodie line, Vin. They had him by a mile. There was larceny in his head.
And meanwhile, Ozzie Smith sitting with Vince Coleman in the dugout, trying to do a little cheerleading now. Willie McGee on the other side of him. And Jose Aquindo takes ball 1. And in case the question popped up into your mind, there has never been a steal of home in the LCS. Aquindo grounded out, then hit the ball hard in the 5th inning, and Kevin Mitchell made a fine play to get him. Jose 0 for 2 playing right field. And the Cardinals are hoping that this time would be the charm. 3 times today, Dravecky has walked the leadoff man in an inning. And he's behind 3-0 to Aquindo here in the 8th. And he's done it again. 4 times in 8 innings he has walked the leadoff man. And the batter will be Tony Pena. Tony Pena has walked and struck out. The Giant bullpen, Mike Lacoste is joined by Don Robinson. Lacoste might just be getting in some work. Robinson is certainly one of the mainstays of the pen. Ball 1.
Robinson is the man that Craig said he's my closer. So if he's going to close it, it'll be Big Robinson.
Tom Pagnozzi, a right-hand batter, is on deck. So the Cardinals trying to get off the floor, but they're down 5-0 in the 8th inning. Strike. 1-1. One ball, 1 strike. That's a little pop fly behind the bag at second. Robbie Thompson. And that could be another broken bat. That would be number 4. Boy, you're really pitching a shutout when the guys are counting broken bats.
Well, that's the thing. I remember at San Diego when he was pitching over there, they said, well, if he breaks bats, he's got good stuff. And I'm checking my notes. I asked about it, and he said, yeah, he'll do that, and he has done it. Not afraid to come inside to the right-hand hitters. If he's got his good stuff, you'll see some broken bats.
Busted bat. There you have it, Joe. Ground ball at third, force play at second, and that's it. Yeah, you could really hear that thing crack. Tom Pagnozzi coming up to bat for John Tudor. So Tudor gave up 5 runs and 10 hits. The home run ball hurt him, and then, of course, the error by Ozzie Smith wrecked him. And here's Pagnozzi. Bob Force throwing alone in the Cardinal bullpen. Foul ball, 0-1. Bob Melvin got a little of that as Force continues to throw in the pen. Just did get underneath that hanging piece of leather and got him on the side of the neck.
Nobody came out to check. They looked at the ball, though. The ball's all right.
0-1 to Pagnozzi. Ground ball to third. Mitchell goes down to Robbie Thompson. He goes back to Clark. Double play, and the inning is over. And you know what? That sounded like it might have cracked.
It could have.
It could very well have. And at the end of 8, Giants 5, Cardinals nothing. Difference a day makes. Last night, Bob Brenly struck out 3 times. He was angry, down, and depressed. But today.
Today's a typical catcher, a little teddy bear. Look at him.
Difference in moods from dugout to dugout, and we go to the 9th inning. Giants 5, Cardinals nothing. And Dave Dravecky will start it off against Bob Force. Complete game shutouts in the National League Championship Series. One of them turned in by Bob Force. 7-0, a 3-hitter in '82. Now he's trying to get Dravecky, who is pitching a 2-hitter in the 9th inning. So that'll do it for Dravecky. 1 away.
You can tell the experienced pitcher. I mean, he just goes out there. He's got a job to do. Got 2 strikes on Dravecky. You're not going to work on him. He just snap off a hard curveball and see you.
The pitchers who had complete game shutouts in the LCS in the National League: John Matlack, Don Sutton, Tommy John, Ray Burris, Bob Force, and Mike Scott. Dravecky still has to wade through the top of the Cardinal lineup in the 9th inning. Vince Coleman, Ozzie Smith, and Tommy Herr. He's not finished yet. Robbie Thompson 0 for 4 today and 0 for 7 in the series.
Force has made 5 pitches, 5 strikes.
No nonsense kind of a pitcher.
You got that right. Just put the fingers down and catch the ball. That's what they're telling you.
Another one, so he immediately rings up Dravecky and Thompson. 2 batters, 2 strikeouts for Bob Force.
Big overhand curveball. That's the one in the old neighborhood. Remember, you call it a drop. Here it is. And all Robbie Thompson could do is just watch it float by.
1 ball and no strikes the count to Kevin Mitchell with 2 out in the 9th inning. 5-0 San Francisco. Mitchell 0 for 4 and 1 for 8 in the series. 2-0. Fly ball to right field. Akindo puts it away. So Force puts the Giants away in the top of the 9th inning, and we go to the bottom of the 9th with the Giants leading the Cardinals 5-0. As we go to the bottom of the 9th inning, 5-0 San Francisco, and the Goodyear blimp serene up there in the sky, and Vince Coleman, anything but serene, fouls it away. Flied to right, struck out and walked. 0 for 2. To show you what kind of a masterpiece Dravecky has turned in, the fewest hits allowed in an LCS, Ross Grimsley and John Matlack, 2-hitter. Vida Blue over in the American League, a 2-hitter, and Dravecky has a 2-hitter today. Earlier we were talking about no steal of home involving Will Clark. We were talking about the National League, of course. 15 years ago, Reggie Jackson stole home in the American League. 0-2 the count. 4-1.
If you're wondering about pitches with Dravecky, with that last pitch, he's made 112.
Remember, this Cardinal ball club, such a great offensive machine, only shut out twice at home this year by Rick Sutcliffe and Brian Fisher. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Fly ball to straightaway center, and there's Eddie Milner. One away in the 9th inning. Ozzie Smith coming up. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Michael Weissman, the coordinating producer and today's director Harry Coyle, and the producer of today's telecast John J. Filippelli. Don't forget the American League tonight, Minnesota and Detroit. Little fly ball, and Robbie Thompson going out puts it away. And so the Cardinals thoroughly blanked today, no 2 ways about it. Just as the Giants were thoroughly shut down by Greg Matthews last night, Dravecky has pitched a gem, a 2-hit shutout with 2 out in the 9th inning.
Want to make a pool as who the first Giant player will be to say we were happy to come here and get a split?
First one you see. Ball hit into left center, and Leonard is there, and that's it. The split is exactly what it is, but the headline, the performance by Dave Dravecky, the young man from Youngstown, a 2-hit shutout for the Cardinals, thoroughly muffled. They never had any kind of an offense except in the 4th inning, could not get a man to third. So it was all Dravecky today, aided and abetted by a couple of early home runs. Will Clark with a man aboard, Jeffrey Leonard with nobody on, and then, of course, the error by Ozzie Smith.
And Bob Melvin getting congratulations from the teammates. He's the private catcher, and he and Dravecky sharing in it. And I tell you, they go back home now in the old home ballpark, friendly confines, as they say. And it will be interesting with the getting off the artificial surface. So this is pretty much what you expected. Two good ball clubs, a lot of inside baseball, so really no surprises.
No, none whatsoever. The Giants using the home run and expected strong pitching to get the split, and the Cardinals getting great pitching last night and then completely shut down today, which is news. So 5 runs, 10 hits for the Giants. No runs, 2 hits, 1 error for the Cardinals. The winner is Dave Dravecky. The loser is John Tudor. And we'll be back after this.